I'm Jason Eagle, your natural health authority of strategic healing. Today, we're going to let you in on some secrets of weight loss. If you're struggling with diets and still not at your healthy weight, you're likely overeating because your body is starving. Before I tell you these secrets to weight loss, make sure you subscribe and like and support me by going to my website, strategichealing.us. So today we're going to talk about the secrets of weight loss because it's not the way that you think. What your weight is really a sign of something else. I like to say, I use this analogy a lot of times, which is the boy who cries wolf or Lassie. And overweightness is how much body weight you have is all a function of your nervous system and your immune system. And anytime the body puts on extra weight, I like to akin it to essentially your body's preparing for a trip, and so it's putting a backpack on. Why is it putting on a trip? Because it's being told, you don't live here anymore, or they're coming after you, and so you better be on the run, and so you better pack extra. And then the other thing that extra weight is, and that's the number one thing that leads to that one that I just said, which is it's your brain. It's your nervous system, because everything is controlled by the two parts at its base level of your nervous system. Everything it does, every heartbeat, every thought, every form of digestion, every second of your body, what it's doing is regulated by what it thinks it's in. Is it in a sympathetic dominance, which is fight or flight? Or is it parasympathetic dominance, which is chill out, honey bunny, it's time to go to sleep and read your books and suck your thumb. Happy, heal, okay? And our life, why do we have both? Well, we have both, and a lot of times they follow. So how our body is really part of an artifact of our ancestral body, our old body, because you always want to have your old body. And what is your old body? Is essentially caveman body, which is be awake, get up, and go get food, because you don't have food, because you don't store food. Or if you store food, you store it on your body. You store it as fat. And the very first thing is when you wake up from sleeping, you come into what's called normally the sympathetic dominance, which is, yes, it's the fight or flight. It is part of the body. How does it keep alive? So everything, and so storing extra weight is about keeping alive. And so it goes deep, deep, deep to the core. And so you got a person that lives in, let's say, a subdivision where, people deliver food. Like there's why should I ever be afraid of anything? Like they're not coming after me, and I'm not on the run, or not running away from a tiger, or running away from the Cossacks or whatever. But see, these things of our nervous system is built into us because of what you would call evolutionary epigenetics. Again, you don't have the memory of running away from the Cossacks and not being able to eat for 3 to 4 days, right? Because you're running for your life. But your genetics do, and your genes do, and your DNA. And every body has built with this, because you never know what could happen. So I don't care if you live in this plush, if you're the king, and you're the king's daughter, and you're the princess and the pea, sometimes someone's going to come after you, or there's going to be an earthquake. You're going to have to run. And so and let's say you never face that. Your body needs to be prepared for that. And so the sympathetic dominance is about going out and getting it. And part of that is there has to be a certain level of fear and panic that is associated with that. Because again, if you don't take it serious getting food, if you don't take it serious surviving, you'll be the one that's left behind, okay? Now, the parasympathetic dominance is you can't be turned on all the time. You can't be fighting all the time. At some point, you gotta calm down and lay down and rebuild and sleep, and in fact, even go into la-la land or bliss state with your brain, where your brain kind of goes, okay, it doesn't matter. And that, like the whole thing in what movie's Gone with the Wind, which is she's at the very end and she's like, I don't, this is horrible, but I'll think of that another day. and, just put it aside. And you say, well, that's how you survive. So part of the survival mechanism is you have to have a balance between hot and heavy and completely relaxed, okay? And that changes how you store fat. Okay, so when people store excess fat, it's because their body is preparing for that, or their body is constantly in that stage, and or part of that stage is you're being attacked. And when what is your body being attacked by? Well, first of all, it's not necessarily the outside Cossacks or the Gestapo coming after you. It's the bugs that live in us, and that's been, when you get into the real research in terms of what they're finding out with what's going on with excess weight. And how I say it is secrets, because it's hiding right in front of you. And a lot of it has to do with your past. A lot of it has to do with how you think. A lot of it has to do with how you feel. A lot of it has to do with your opinion of yourself. So that's why it also gets into deep emotions. So when we get into what are the things that fix it, I always go for is go to the underlying factor. Forget about the symptoms. So your overweightness is a symptom, okay? Underweightness is a symptom. Perfect weightness is essentially a little bit extra, because again, you always want the body, because I've seen people that are really perfect weight, which is they look skinny and they would say, oh, that person's super fit and they're super, but if they get sick or they have an injury, sometimes that little extra backpack that you held on to, if you don't have it, I've seen people die. And I've seen people die because of infection, because of injury, and it's because they were essentially at perfect weight, but also too skinny. And so having a little bit of extra, and when you talk about anyone that's like, say, a top athlete is when they prepare for a run or something like that, what weight do you want to be? You want to be a little bit extra because you want to have it to use it. And when we're talking about extra, we're talking about a person's ideal weight plus maybe, 2 to 5 pounds, right? So, some people are really looking at the scale. And so again, I've seen it kind of both ways. And if you want to talk about wisdom, what is perfect? You have to respect the body holding on to extra weight because it knows what it's doing, but you also have to respect the fact that like what it was designed to do in terms of any extra weight that you carry on your body is essentially like weights in your pockets. And if you go for a run, unless you really want to challenge yourself, you want to wear as light a clothes as possible because again, that makes the going easy. So, and that's when we're also talking about the real extreme parts of bad excess weight is your heart. The more weight you have, the more blood you have to keep going to it to keep alive. So excess weight is essentially kind of like a mommy spider with too many babies on her back, living on her back. She's got to feed them. And when they become adult babies, they become crushing. So ideal weight is, if there's wisdom behind that, and that's why ideal weight is not overweight. And showing pictures of people, that's the other thing, is where is weight? Is it on the body or is it in the mind? It's like what was it? Willy Wonka said one of these great phrases, where is fancy bread? In the heart or in the head, right? So is the weight on your body completely a function of just, biochemistry, and like the exercise world would say, what goes in, what goes out. That's why you can lose weight by exercising or reducing your calories. But I've seen people, and in fact, these are ever increasing, where I've literally seen people who have starved themselves and worked out like crazy for, 3 days. And meaning that all they did was like a water fast and stuff and they gained weight. How is that even possible? It's possible, and I see it happen, and it's why. It's because it's your hormones. Because your hormones are really running everything. And that's the other thing about why a person holds on to weight, which is 1, extra fuel source. 2 would be a force field shield or extra garbage bags because you're dirty. Because you have a lot of waste products that your body's producing and your body is taking lots of damage. And since it's the hormones that are driving how much you hold, how much weight you hold, and how fast that's the metabolism. So sometimes when the body is in a certain state, it holds on to the extra fat because the extra fat is a hormone. So it's essentially, if your hormonal organs are not working or you're not absorbing your hormones from your organs very well, then you hold on to your fat because it acts like a hormone, acts like progesterone, acts like estrogen. It actually stores progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. It's a backup supply. It's essentially, it's a USB port. Like, you can expand your memory, and if you run out, you can actually hack the system and run the system with this fat. And when you have not very good hormonal organs that have been taxed, so adrenals, pancreas that creates insulin. So the other thing that we know that is really a part and parcel with having excess weight is because it's insulin resistance. And we get insulin resistance because of overeating sugar, having way too much sugar. So it's the sugar that's kind of the hacking. And so this gets into one of the secrets in terms of what should I eat shouldn't eat. So fasting, intermittent fasting, is a great way to hack it. And that's what I'm talking about, is how do we really figure out what's going on? And you get to below it, which is you go to why it's happening in the first place. And it's a reaction in the system. Overweightness is a reaction to, again, the boy who cries wolf with scratches on him is not lying. It's not your hormones are screwed up. It's facing an attack and damage, and also it's playing a game that you don't know it's playing. Okay? So these are the secrets. It is all hormonal. It is all psycho-emotional. It all is all energy. And yes, what you eat and when you eat matters. And these are ways of hacking it. But if you think about what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to change the shape of this thing. I'm trying to change how much it stores. You have to, first of all, in some ways, respect why it did in the first place. Your body's not stupid. An overweight body is not stupid. An obese person is not, like morbidly obese, those really, really big people. If you could imagine, they're a starving little skeleton on the inside that's surrounded by like a great big Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man, because they eat marshmallows. They eat a lot of foods. And so what's missing in the diet that caused the body to think it's starving? That's what it is it thinks it's starving, so it holds on to it because it becomes a hoarder, because it's afraid it won't ever get it again. It also holds on to it because at least that's the bodysuit that it can wear, that it can protect itself from essentially damage of like nuclear damage from darts, and that's what's called the free radical damage. That's the toxins. So a really toxic person, they put on extra weight because the body just needs it as a force field. Okay. And also it needs it as many people need it as a psycho-emotional force field, which is, I don't want people to like me. I want people to stay away from me. So with a woman or a man, it can have something to do with early relationships, especially, you know, a sexual relationship or non-sexual, or coming into that age. A lot of times people hold on to weight because as a teenager or a preteen, they started to come into this time frame and they didn't like the attention. And they even judge their own body and they think they're fat and they think they're ugly. And so, and part of it is some people will put that fat suit on because that means people will be attracted to me. And some people, because of their experiences, they don't want people attracted to them. They want people to stay away from them. So on one level, their brain may say, I want to be perfect weight. But on another level, there's another part of them saying, no, 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 because then that will mean that people will get to us. So it's really, really complicated and when I'm talking about weight loss, anyone can work out, anyone can diet, but it doesn't work for a lot of people. And again, people that if you've tried weight loss, and you've even said to your girlfriends or your friends, you know, I don't understand. Like, I don't eat as much as you do. You know, this is for the fat person that sits at the table with their friends. And their friends go, I don't understand. Like, their skinny friends are like, I've been with you many times. And I've stayed at your house. I know you don't cheat. I eat 5 times more than you. Why are you? It's hormones. The body is holding on to it for a reason. So now let me get to it like this, which is, you know, and again, these extreme people, which is You got to fix the hormones. You got to fix the mineral deficiencies. You got to fix these things. The people that can work out, the normal people that can work out, this helps them too. So lucky you if you get to diet and you exercise and you lose weight. Lucky you, okay? But unlucky people, if the lucky people do this too, not only do their workout and stuff like that, but change the minerals and stuff like that, they will be healthy too. Because just because you look like a healthy weight doesn't mean that you're healthy. That's a big thing. And I've seen many people at the perfect weight die before their time because you just didn't know what was going on. So, you know, like, again, one of the real risks of a bad heavyweight is you had a heart attack, right? And we think, oh, it's the fat, wheezy person that's going to die from the heart attack. There are plenty of skinny people, perfect, looks great, that suddenly dies from a heart attack. And under people that have not enough good cholesterol, not enough the HDL, let's say too low of cholesterol, when those people have a heart attack, they have the widowmaker. They have the one that they don't make it to the hospital. So again, what the body looks like and the perfect of like, oh, lucky them, they look perfect. It's not what it looks like on the outside. It can be deceiving. And this one, for the overweight person that you would think that they're overstuffed and they for sure eat really good. It's not about how much they eat. It's not about the quantity of food. It's about the quality of food. And if you want to be at the perfect weight, it's about the quality of the food, which is essentially what's missing in all our food. So nobody can eat right. I don't care if you go and you did your smoothies and you do your organic and you do your whole foods. Watch my show a couple times ago where I talk about quality of food. It's all junk. There's the level of antioxidants in all our food. So you have to take supplements. You have to supplement with the minerals. Because again, it's the hormones that are doing this. So let me describe this, which is how your body uses fuel and how it stores weight is based upon what program is running. So you can all bring this back to what I was talking about in the beginning, which is the sympathetic nervous system, which is the necessary evil of fight or flight, and then the parasympathetic one, which is calm down and be at peace, can also be the necessary evil, because some people who have, let's say, a hypothyroid, they're too overweight and it's because their hormones are too low, they can be too chill. So you can be too fast and too crazy, or you can be too chill. So really, it's not about being, sympathetic bad, parasympathetic good. No, you need both. You have to be in the balance of both. And since this is the nervous system, this is essentially like a computer. So if you think about your brain, your body, a living computer, okay? And your brain being, let's say, the central processing unit. But go inside a computer, and what does a computer use? A literal computer, your phone, your cell phone, your computer, your smartphone. Inside is battery-powered silicone chips, which are crystals. And that's what your body is. Your body is essentially a living crystal. And the crystals are what brings the nervous system. Your brain is all electrical. Your heart is all electrical. Okay? Again, as I say over and over again, people that struggle with this, I'm not talking woo-woo energy, I'm talking literal electricity. How do you know? If your heart stops and we call the paramedics, they will shock you with the paddles and your body will come back. When you go into and they check your heart, they're doing an EEG or an EKG, they're looking at the electrical signals. Your body is an electrical signal, so it's a computer. Let's get over it. Your body's a computer. And your body, just like a computer, has chips. Inside your bloodstream are the chips, okay, are the microprocessors. Those are minerals. So minerals in your body have to be at the right level for the electrical magnetic field to go through your body and control and connect everything. Make sense of what the hormones are doing. The hormones are chemicals, but the hormones then turn into an electromagnetic signal. So people that don't have enough of the critical minerals of number one, sodium, that's what makes your heart beat, okay? And if your sodium levels get too low, and you start to get into a panic and people's blood pressure goes up and stuff like that, that's the first thing that goes into their arm if they're in the ambulance or if they're in emergency room. That's sodium. Why is sodium so important? Because it allows for the electrical field to travel through a fluid. So your brain is electrical. The other thing is calcium and magnesium. Every muscle, everything in your body, whether it be all of your organs, your diet, and how did the fat get there? It got through your digestion. It had to be what you ate that got squeezed through your guts and what you saved and then turned into your own body. Your body is what you eat. Comes from what you eat, but how it is processed. And how it's processed is more important than what you eat. Now, not really, because what really screws it up in everyone is these minerals. So since the computer system, which is the hormones, as I said, sodium, magnesium, people that are their bodies are too tight, where their muscles are super tight, they hold on to more weight because you need that backpack of extra energy because you're running out of energy, and your body can convert fat into energy. It can burn, basically it's gasoline to run the machine. You can store extra gasoline as fat, okay? So the body holds on to these things because of the situation it's put under. And so if the body has lack of minerals, then it will automatically hold on to extra because everything it gets takes so much to process and there's not enough guts in it. So again, when people get into, I'm also, one of the reasons why we overeat, many, especially people that are very crave driven, you're being driven to eat it. And you're being driven to eat it because your body just filled up on something that didn't have enough guts in it, minerals, and so it goes, do more. And so many people, it's not your fault. So if you change the minerals, and again, so what's the most important thing is people are overweight, they should be on a pH minerals, these multi-minerals, everything should be in its very good, straight, organic form, not just the cheap stuff. Also, what we've done is really the ultimate is grow your own food or have someone grow it for you that they use minerals. And the minerals that we use is what's called azomite, which is this volcanic mineral that it just basically comes from the earth and it has all of the known minerals. Also kelp and other things, which is it comes from the ocean, so it has iodine and stuff like that. So I give supplements to the ground that then the plants grow out of it, and now that's perfect. Why were people so much healthier in the past? And you look at, the old pictures from, some of the earliest pictures, it's hard to find overweight people. People were so at perfect weight, but they smoked more and blah, blah, blah. It's because there was way more minerals in the food that great grandpa and grandma ate. But the bad food has been around for almost 100 years now. So none of us have had a chance. So getting the minerals in, you can supplement it, you can supplement the plants, and that starts to change. So that is the big thing in terms of that changes this whole how the computer system works, which is let's first of all put new chips in there. That's the minerals. So that will mean now it can work better. And so a lot of times people's extra weight, they hold on to it because again, the body it's starving. So giving the minerals is the most important thing, okay? Number two about starving is you cannot digest what's in the food. So the top thing that most people cannot digest as they're overweight is the fats, which are the fat. Good fat makes bad fat go away. Good fat and being able to digest good fats is what keeps a person at the ideal weight because fat is hormones. Fat is a hormone, and fat, every hormone that's in your body, which is testosterone, progesterone. So the perfect weight people that don't have to work very hard to be that and, look great from exercise and feel great from exercise is because they have the right level of hormones. And that's going to be insulin is a big thing. And then not only progesterone, and there's another one that has to, lectin, or not lectin. Anyways, again, I'm blanking on it, but there's a bunch of hormones that go to how our body regulates. Okay, how fast it is and what type of body you are. But see, every hormone has to go into a fat packet in order to, so hormones that come from a hormone factory, so let's say a uterus and a prostate in a male or female body is a organ that's inside your body and it releases hormones, and its main hormone that it releases is progesterone. And progesterone is this thing that goes into the body. And progesterone has an interaction with estrogen and testosterone. And in both male and female, especially the guy that gets the man boobs, he's got too much estrogen. And too much estrogen makes the body become more feminine and hold weight at these feminine places. And so the man boobs are really that he's not producing enough progesterone and testosterone. And so, but that's all hormones. Now, what I have found is many times it's not really the hormone factories. So a person that says, well, I'm going to take my testosterone shots. Here's the thing. It's not the Nike factory and the shoes. It's the delivery person. So the most important thing about Amazon is the delivery trucks. And that's what's called the fat metabolism. So the good hormones, the bad hormones, all of the hormones have to be delivered in a fat packet. So what that means is if you cannot digest fats, that comes from your gallbladder. So if your gallbladder, when it releases bile, when you eat fat, your body has to squirt some soap into the dishwasher to make the oily dishes have the oil come off. It's the same thing that happens in your digestion. So people that hold on to excess fat and cannot burn it even when they work out is because they cannot burn fat. And they also hold on to those extra fat because the body goes, don't you understand, dummy? These are your hormones. Your hormone factories don't work anymore. Well, if you still have your gallbladder, and even if you don't have your gallbladder, it's the bile. So by putting a person on something to thin the bile and get the bile flowing and unclog and get the stones out if the stones are there, now when we eat fat, we can digest it. And if we can't do it, and we haven't done a full, detox of that, you take things like limonene and lecithin, and now when that combines with your food and the fats that's in the food, now it can get into your system. So now your body can burn the fat, but also it gets into, now the fat has been made into smaller little globules that can then get into the bloodstream and grab onto the hormones that are floating around there with nowhere to go. Now they have a car to get into. Now they have somewhere that can deliver them, and the Uber takes them right where they're supposed to go. That's what it is. So that's one of the other things that I found with people about this recalcitrant weight loss thing is you have to fix their fat metabolism, get them to digest fat. Okay, that's the other thing, the minerals and the fat. Okay. Now another reason, like I said, is why people hold on to excess fat is because they're toxic. So if it's the one where it is literally, again, the fight or flight mechanism is being triggered, it's because the body is going, don't you understand, dummy, we're being attacked. Well, where are we being attacked? I look fine. Like nobody's stabbing me. It's the tiny stabs on the inside, and that's through infection. And there's been a lot of research that have found many particular types of infection, especially these cells called firmicutes. This is the fat family. Okay, you look at people that literally a family is all fat together, and yes, they share genetics, but are they all well, what it's been found is fat, and many times, especially when it's caused by these types of infections, and these are these infections that's also candida, which is the yeast infection and stuff that people keep feeding. So the fat family that has the big beer bellies is they're sharing it with each other. They're contagious. Is fat contagious? Yes, fat is contagious, because what's really contagious is the infection, the micro-infection that people are, and the things that are living inside you that are causing you to eat so much. So we also see a lot of parasitic infection. So people that are sharing parasites with each other, mom to daughter, to son, to husband, to wife, they're all breathing and kissing and sharing the same glasses and stuff like that. And in the bathroom and fluids, again, there's cross-contamination. And so there is definitely a fat bug. So again, anti-infection is one of the things. So what's some of the best anti-infection? And that's, basically garlic. A lot of things that we've seen the gut shrink with the yeast infection, that's oregano. So a company, Biotics, makes this ADP. It's a very strong oregano pill that you swallow and then opens up in the guts. You have to bite it in 4 pieces so that it absorbs better. There's the olive leaf. There's the peristat, paratocin. Also cleaning up the mess from these different living life forms that are living and driving you, essentially kind of like the Walking Dead. You are fat because you're the Walking Dead, because they're living inside you and driving you to eat and drink and everything like that, and you're feeding them. So infection fighting things have been super, super powerful about that. Get the minerals back, and if you do that long enough, these infections will die down themselves. But usually when people want to lose weight, they want to lose it now. So these are the secrets of, if you do this, this, you're getting to the reason of why your body is being driven to do that, why it does that, and why many times you have to satisfy its, if the kid's going to be attacked, then, you know, put a armor around it and then send it to school. Don't send it to school. So if you knew what was going on, you would address these things, and then the body, and a lot of times overweightness is because it is being attacked. It is being driven, and it's toxic, and it's holding on to things to protect the organs like the heart and the brain from this just really dirty stuff. So let's put it in the fat to keep it away from the brain, to keep it away from the heart. Okay? So the detoxification that I think I've always seen with really good weight loss has been the Mediclay, which is a bentonite clay that absorbs a certain amount of toxins. The Xenostat. The Xenostat is 4 different types of seaweeds, and seaweed is the iodine, plus it also the what's in certain seaweeds attract these false hormones, especially false estrogen, what's called xenoestrogens. Again, why are there fat women or fat female fish off the coast of California, and 80% of them? Why? Because the hormones that come through the poop, that go through the water treatment plants and then get washed out to sea, is now hormonally changing. So all the fish and everything is being altered by the hormones. And the hormones that are, and again, there are certain chemicals, especially anything that comes from oil or coal. So all of the drugs are made from oil. All of the food additives are made from oil. They are these carbon molecules that they make artificial things out of. So anything that's what's called synthetic is essentially a carbon-based molecule that's been in a lab manipulated to taste like raspberry or to be this. It's a fake, it's not really, but it puts the triggers on. Now these things, as they get digested in our body, they get broken down into our liver detoxifies them, and all of the petrochemicals, which is just a wash out there, and then also these microplastics, which again, if you really understand, like the plastic did not get recycled. It's turned, and not only is it filling up the fish in the ocean, it's filling up the fish in our ocean, which is our blood. We are filled with microplastics everywhere. And these things are a xenoestrogen, which is when they break down, their puzzle pieces break down into a puzzle piece that is the same shape as an estrogen. And if you look at your cells, everything that's a hormone reaction is because this little car, like a little game that you played when you were a little kid, a toddler, which is the star shape gets pounded into the star shape and the round shape. But if you were like me, you tried to force it in, bam, bam, bam. So, but that's what estrogen is it literally is a puzzle piece that docks with the certain shape of the cell. So what's plugging up in a fat person that it holds on to this hormonal fat, it's because and again, the man boob man is because their estrogen receptor sites are plugged with xenoestrogens. So what would you really do if you could become a microman and fix at the molecular level the fat, which is get those things out of there so they stop triggering the estrogenic response? That's what the Xenostat is essentially. It's a tow truck that pulls the car out of your parking space, gets it out of there so that you can park, so that estrogen, true estrogen, and progesterone and testosterone and all this other stuff can plug into. So again, the cell is being hacked by these programs, and they're biochemical programs. And then also Chem Detox, which is the modified citrus pectin. And that's another form of, pectin is what you make jelly out of, right? It's what makes the jam solidify into a jelly. So that goes into our system. It comes from citrus, and it literally is a magnet. And it's kind of like, you know, when at the gas station, when they spill the gasoline on an oil spill, they basically, so the Mediclay is like this too, and the Chem Detox is like when they put that, you know, the cat litter. Cat litter will absorb basically that oil and the gasoline and make it inert and then suck it out of the ground and clean it. That's what these things, and if you really saw what was going on inside of you, the toxic reaction, that's the reason why you have to hold on to the fat suit, is because it's protecting you. And then also pooping and sweating. So taking a, you know, psyllium-based type of, that has marshmallow root and stuff like that to clean yourself out. Colonics, enemas, sweating, your sweat and exhale is a poop too. So not just working out, but again, doing saunas, doing hot baths, these different types of things can help to clean your system out and clean the fat, thereby then taking the toxins out, and then your body say, oh, now I can get rid of you. I don't need you anymore. That's the big thing. Another thing that has been the most important thing in terms of anyone can do, and I've seen this powerful thing that's a secret to weight loss, is also leptin is the one that I was thinking of. Insulin and leptin is what's called intermittent fasting. I've seen people with diabetes. I've seen people who are pre-diabetic. I've seen people who are full-on diabetic. I've actually treated people who are type 1 diabetic, which is they were born with it and they've had to do insulin shots every day. By doing the by doing the intermittent fasting and a keto diet, a targeted keto diet, which I also include intermittent fasting and carb timing. So carb timing is again the nervous system of the sympathetic dominance and the parasympathetic dominance is how you feed it. So the sugar that you wake up in sympathetic dominance, if you have a sugar breakfast, you're feeding that Tasmanian devil that's causing you to fight, flight, or just hide. So the fat that's triggered by that hormonal response, if we cut out a breakfast and basically cause your body to live off of its reserves a little bit longer, thereby not needing insulin to go into your body, it fixes this insulin resistance. It makes your body more sensitive. And then if you combine that with, so it's really the carbohydrates that we digest that our body needs insulin for. So what you do is not only do intermittent fasting, so that means if you normally wake up at 6 and say have breakfast at 8:30 and 9, you skip breakfast and you break your fast. So breakfast is just breaking the fast when you have your first meal. You do it, wait until 11:30 or 12 or 1 o'clock, and then you break your fast. But so you basically cause your body to live off of your reserves and retool your computer. And over a period of time, it fixes your computer. Your brain is what is your digestion. And especially if you do it for 21 days, anything that's done for 21 days is you reestablish the habit. You can reprogram the brain by doing anything for 21 days. Okay? And then when you do break your fast, anything, here's the rule of thumb, is if you want to fix the insulin resistance, not only do you do intermittent fasting, and then you also, anything you eat before 3 p.m. is protein, fat, and non-carbohydrate vegetables. You go carb-free for anything you eat before 3 p.m. Then after 3 p.m., because that's when the body shifts into what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the insulin receptivity is always better in anybody. That's when you bring the carbohydrates in. And the carbohydrates would be, you first start with the starches, which would be like potatoes, rice, sweet potatoes, those types of things, those beans. Then you go into the next step. If you want more of an actual true sugar, you go into fruit, so raw fruit. And then you can have other sugars later too, but you don't have any of that. So that's when the banana, that's when the oatmeal, not oatmeal for breakfast, and I'm not saying oatmeal is bad, but if it's triggering this reason why you're holding on to the fat because of the way that the insulin works, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So the people that I've seen that really hack this the best is intermittent fasting combined with carb timing. Don't eat until, wait 2 to 3 hours from your normal breakfast. When you do have breakfast, it's protein and fat and non-carbohydrate vegetables. And then don't eat carbohydrates until after 3 p.m. If you do that, then what you're doing is you're fixing really the computer. You're fixing how it works. And what you're doing is a lot of the fat, you have to understand, is exactly like PTSD. The hormones that are associated with holding on fat and producing and putting the fat there in the first place and storing it, like the squirrel that stuffs the nuts in their cheeks, is to hold on to it for later. Well, why? Because you're afraid. You're afraid of what's going to happen. And the best way to do that is to, like PTSD, which is to slowly replace it. So the guy that comes home from Afghanistan that's at the birthday party and is cowering in the corner because someone popped a balloon, he's having that reaction because he's still too close to the event. And you have to decharge it. And that's where we get into a couple different things, which is I've seen the emotional stuff. So the emotional stuff is what you think of yourself. So again, many times people can say on the outside with their words, I want to be a healthy weight. But if you question them and you do the muscle testing to find out if their body's telling the truth, ask them if they are loving themselves. Okay, hold on, do the grip. This is how I do it, which is I'll muscle test a person. And you can tell, anyone can do this, which is muscle testing can work for everybody. This is the one that anyone can do. Have a person stand there and hold their arms straight out to their side with their palms facing down and their fingers sticking straight out. So their arm looks like a 90 degree. And then have a person put their hand right on their wrist and push down. And you tell the person, hold tight before you push down, because they're going to resist your push. And so you say, hold tight, and you push down. That's a muscle test. And so you first test them, what's called in the clear, which is show me what you look like at your strongest. Okay? So push it, say hold tight, okay, and push down. Now say to a person, if their name is Rob is watching right now, hey Rob, say, if their person's name is Rob, you say to the person, say, my name is Rob. And then they will say, my name is Rob. And immediately you push your arm down. And their arm should stay strong because that's the truth, because they're telling a truth. And so the strong response is when you tell the truth. Then you have the person say their name is some other name. And a lot of times I like to pick a ridiculous name. Say your name is Betty, right? So Rob, say your name is Betty. And Rob will say, my name is Betty. And what happens is the arm goes down. You push against it and they can't hold it up. And both of you look at each other going, whoa, that's crazy. So what it is the body responds to. So what you do is if you get that response, which is, and everyone will test strong to their name and false and weak to a bad false name, then tell them to say, I love myself, or now and forever I can love myself. And if a person tests weak to that, essentially their body is lying. But again, they're not necessarily lying, it's their subconscious. So how do you fix a person? And then also have a person say, I love what I see in the mirror. Now, a person who's fat can look at the mirror and judge themselves. And it's shame and it's hurtful. And again, the thing that is done stressfully, it's kind of guaranteed to not work. So one of the very first things that you can do is, first of all, there's this whole ERT method, which is if you test weak to now and forever I can love myself, or now and forever I can be a perfect weight, right? If they test weak to that, then that's one of the real reasons why they're overweight, because their brain, their psycho-emotional thing, if you don't love yourself. So there's a way to fix that, and that's what's called the ERT, and I can take people and there's a whole process of testing it and finding out what the right things to do. But on a basic level, what you can do is just take a person and have them just stand in front of the mirror and look at themselves into the mirror in their eyes and go, I love you. And say your own name, right? I look in the mirror and go, Jason, I love you. And many times an overweight person, if they've never done that before, they'll break down and start crying because it's just crushing. Or they'll have disgust. And then take the next step and have them stand in front of a full-length mirror in clothes and then naked. Have a person stand and look at themselves at their ugly fat and say that they love themselves. If you really want to lose weight, you have to look at yourself and be able to love yourself and say, I love you for just who you are. But you also have to, so you can't be disgusted by yourself. But you also have to, at the same level, carry in your brain, that's not healthy. I may love myself, but I also It's like looking at yourself inside and see the skinny person, the perfect weight person inside the overweight person. You also have to say, I love that person too. And that's the person who I want to become. So I'm able to get to that person because I'm not shaming myself, which is actually just doing the worst thing for me. But I don't want to love that fat person more than the other person. I got to love them equally, but I have to. The reason I love that fat person is because that my not loving that person and judging that person and thinking that it's ugly and not accepting that person is what's emotionally keeping me that way. So if I want to have a hope to get to that inside person, I have to first break essentially the curse on that fat person. And many times the reason our body is holding it, so the emotional person that's been hurt by other people and holds on to that, which is essentially the baby in the dirty diaper that sits in it in order to keep control, but also to keep people away from it. Now, I'm not saying fat is ugly. It's not the person that's ugly, but overweight, you have to agree, is unhealthy. It's not. You would be healthier if you go up that mountain with the lightest shoes and least amount of clothes that you need. But also, if it's going to get cold up there, then carry a little light, sweater and a backpack with you to prepare for what could happen. But essentially, the most ideal weight is the healthiest for everybody. And then looking at, and so you first have to love that in order to accept that, to then say, now I can do what it takes to get to that. Because again, the judgment is also another person. It's essentially like you standing outside of yourself and abusing yourself and shaming yourself and bullying yourself. And a lot of times people hold on to that because, again, I'll show you, So, and then the other thing that I've seen, which is the other hidden thing, is people can, since it's all the brain and your internal organs, which is how you digest food, which is your stomach, then your pancreas, then your intestines, then how you poop out the food and get rid of toxins. That's the large intestine and liver and kidneys and all these other things. These are all things that your brain control, but your brain controls it through your spine. And your spine at each vertebrae is essentially, that's the junction that connects to the brain. So if a person has a neck injury or a back injury, especially low back injuries, that they had when they were younger or something like that, if your digestive organs, let's say your small intestine is not working well and you cannot digest, therefore you cannot be the right weight. If your vertebrae has been damaged, how do you fix it? So again, if the computer is working, but yet the cable is being kinked, if the cable is being bent and stretched upon, then the computer can't get the signal to that organ and back and forth. So that's where it goes into what I've also found is the eye packs, which is the eye packs are essentially the mud packs is if you've blown a fuse at that vertebral section and now the brain can't ideally perfectly connect to your brain and the rest of your organs, then it's essentially like, how do I fix those broken wires? And if it's the reason that the organ is not working, the reason that the pancreas is not working correctly, if it comes from an infection and a low minerals and a psycho-emotional a trauma, as well as a back energetic field trauma, blown fuse, it's like 5 hits against it and like good luck losing weight. Like it's not going to happen. And then for all your tries, it's actually going to work worse for you. This happens for many, many people. So this is a way of fixing it. And then the other thing with the energy, so again, the energy, literally the electromagnetic energy, many times, so Dr. Marshall came up with this, which is what's called the biofield diet. If you really saw what your body is as an electromagnetic field, is essentially you're a plasma energy field. And if your plasma energy field is not intact and not vibrating correctly, then it's not going to work. And if you could see what your electromagnetic field faces in this world, just sitting in front of a computer, sitting under fluorescent lights, being in an electrified thing, if you could see the damage that these things do to our body, of course it's screwing up our hormones. You know, the cell phones may not have proven to cause brain cancer, but they for sure prove to screw up your hormones. Absolutely. And the laptop that your little kid is having on their lap is for sure screwing up their hormones, especially reproductive hormones. And we don't have the evidence of that cell phone that's been in their lap or the iPad that's been in their lap. Now they can't have kids. Now they're infertile. That's been happening. So how do you fix that? So there's Dr. Marshall, we came up with this whole thing, which is you can fix the energy field. So you can fix your, what's called the Vastu, which is you can fix what's going on. So the whole thing about the biofield diet is even good food could be poisoned by this electromagnetic smog. And there's a device that goes on the cell phone that any cell phone, you can just basically touch the phone or have the phone next to it. And I know you don't understand it, but it works, which is you can take this food that is turned off and is weakening your body and remove that, what's called electrosmog, or these electromagnetic field disturbances that are essentially kind of like, think about like a person who is freshly washed, right, and perfumed and, you know, clean, fresh, clean, and then all of a sudden they go into a person's house who's been a 40-year-old smoker and they're smoking. You walk out of that house, and even though you're not a smoker, it clings to you. You're going to smell like a smoker for a week, and it's going to get in your hair, it's going to get in your clothes, everything. That's what the EMF sensitivity is. Yes, Adam. These are what the EMFs and certain people's nervous systems are way more affected than others. But that doesn't mean that it's only them. It's all of us. The canary in the coal mine is alerting all of us that there's a problem. So there's a device that I have on my phone. You can put on your phone, you can put on your tablets. There's things that you can do to your home to actually essentially turn your home into this resonating field that now powers and removes this smog off of your food, and in fact even takes some bad food and fixes it and makes it better, thereby you fixing the digestion. I know you don't fully understand it, but I've been in this field for 26 years and the Vastu stuff for, I think it's been 11 years, 11 or 14 years, or something like that. And I've seen it. I've seen it really, really make the huge difference in people's lives, because with a health condition of which overweightness is a health condition, just like heart disease, just like COPD, it's a health condition. But it's a reaction to something that's going on that's damaging your body and causing your body to have that reaction. And most people that are chronically overweight it's because, again, number one, they're starving. Number two, they got too many toxins. Number three, their energy is all wrong, not only in their body, but their environmental energy. Number four, their emotions are wrong for their body. Their emotions are holding on to it because, again, it's protecting itself from damage. And then the other thing would be that environment. Again, the environment that's all around them. And you can't fix that, but you can fix how your body reacts to this. These are the secrets that I've seen. And again, one of the best things that I've seen that really fixes really difficult, recalcitrant body weight problems is the insulin resistance. We know is causing that. That's hackable. That's very changeable. So the insulin resistance, which causes you to hold on to the extra weight, is because of just the way that the system runs. You can hack that by doing intermittent fasting, which is free to anybody. It's not a supplement you got to buy. It's not a exercise equipment you got to buy. It's not a class you have to pay for. It's free. So the most powerful things are always free. But they do take your time, and they do take your suffering. You will suffer. And make sure if you do have some insulin problems, you're checking and don't get too low. So for a person where their blood sugar gets too low, yes, you do have to do a breakfast. But do a non-carbohydrate, do the minimum, and eventually you can do this where you can fix this. Don't want people to get in any trouble that are having to inject insulin. Don't be stupid, check it. Okay, but most people that are pre-diabetic and stuff like that, they're not going to get too low, and again, you will be fine. In fact, many times you'll see a person that takes their fasting insulin and at a certain level, and then sometimes it can go up. Well, what the heck? Why is it going up? Because it's burning what's stored inside your body. It's burning the sugar that's stored inside your body, the glycogen reserves that are living. So again, if you can get your body to snack off your liver and live up. Because again, if you want to lose weight, how's it going to get out? Are you just going to throw it out the window? Does it just disappear? No, you have to burn it. You've got to burn it. So that means the wood pile needs to be burned. But you have to have a reason for burning the wood pile. And a hoarder that's holding on to that wood pile saying, no, I'm afraid, you don't know. Well, it's going to happen. They will never burn the wood pile. And it'll just keep hoarding and hoarding. So the hoarder, their behaviors are because they're traumatized. So many times, and then the other point I want to get across is that we have found overwhelmingly that there's infection that's related to it. There's infection that's related to, especially when you have a family that shares this overweightness, is they're breathing it on each other and sharing it with each other. So that's why when one person does it, you essentially have to do it with the whole family. And the whole family it will work. And if it's not going to work for them, then, again, they have to make their choices. And, but again, that's another thing that comes into many people that have really had difficult time losing weight, that kind of go, it's not my fault. And then the skinny people outside of them go, yes, it is your fault. You're doing it to yourself. Both are true. But again, the person that has these hormonal hacks, it's not their fault. And again, the healthy person that looks perfect, they ain't as clean as you think they are. So again, this is everybody. And if we really saw, and I know people that have been perfect weight, but died early and had those heart attacks. And again, this is all about survival. And I don't care how pretty or not pretty, you want to survive. And you want to have your longest amount of time on this planet with your ultimate, perfect, ideal health of what was your body designed to do. And your body knows how to do it. If you just provide it the right circumstances and environment and step back, it will do it. So if people say, when I was a kid, I could do whatever, that's how you were, that's how you can get back to. It's buried within inside you. The skinny person or whatever, perfect weight, is hiding inside of you. And how do you get them out? You listen to them and you address what they are saying. And if they're being attacked and being injured or being programmed and controlled, you've got to unweed that. But you have to, if they are also like, for instance, this is like the Patty Hearst syndrome, which is she was kidnapped and then programmed. And then when they rescued her, she fought back and said, no. And it took 2 weeks of finally her going, oh my God, thank God, what had happened to me? Like I was literally defending them hurting me. So many times people defend the overweightness inside their body because, truth be told, they were kidnapped and hijacked, and it's the brain that's doing it. It's your nervous system that's doing it. And again, the person who's cowering in the corner that came back from Afghanistan, you can't blame him because you don't know what he saw. And it's hard to get rid of that, but it's essential. It's essential. If you're going to be there at the party, you have to be able to get those triggers to turn off so that you don't freak out of something that really would never kill anyone. A balloon does not mean, and so the brain should know the difference between a bomb and a balloon. And that's what this hormonal reaction, the nervous system is. Sympathetic, parasympathetic, and it's all fixable. It's all hackable. Until next time, this is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority, and bye-bye.